Many of them are waiting for a signal from you about your plans for 2020. Should they wait around for you, or should they shop for another candidate?
I don't agree with you.
So last night, CNN had what was supposed to be a debate between Bernie Sanders and John Kasich on healthcare and actual policy issues. And then it ended up turning into a town hall around Donald Trump, which is not surprising because all headlines right now are Donald Trump. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing because, I mean, the potential impeachment of a president is definitely news. But it's unfortunate that it has to be the focus in terms of it affecting other news because no one's talking about policy. And, you know, really, no one would probably be talking about policy anyways if Trump wasn't the headlines right now. But I want to focus on, there were two questions during this CNN town hall that were just absolutely terrible and really exposes CNN for what they are.
Senator Sanders, you clearly galvanized and inspired millions of people in 2016. Many of them are waiting for a signal from you about your plans for 2020. Should they wait around for you, or should they shop for another candidate?
I don't agree with you.
The election just ended. Donald Trump just won. It's been, what, 5 months? 6 months? The election just happened. Why is, like, I understand the fascination with wondering who's going to run for president. That's a fine conversation to have with you and your friends. That's not what CNN should be talking about. They barely have any time to talk about actual problems, to talk about reality. Because everything's been so Trump-focused, you think they might use part of this hour to actually ask some real questions. Now, again, I understand the focus on Trump. I understand. But this question wasn't a Trump-focused question. So how about in the last 10 minutes, instead of talking about what might happen in 3 years, like Bernie Sanders is really going to tell you, yeah, I'm running in 2020. Like he's going to say that right now. Why waste the time on that question? Instead, you could ask a question about, I don't know, healthcare or minimum wage or education. Something that is policy-based. Something that could actually, I don't know, inform people. A news network informing people. How crazy. But no, that's not what they're focusing on. And let's hear how Bernie responded to this, because it's the most Bernie response that he could possibly give, and it's a real response.
Many of them are waiting for a signal from you about your plans for 2020. Should they wait around for you, or should they shop for another candidate?
I don't agree with that. And you have heard me both say this before. No, millions of people are not worried. We just had an election. Yeah. You guys never end. Yeah. You're probably wondering who's going to be running in 2030. How old are your kids? Are they going to be running in, 2094?
Do you want to tell us that?
Be. All right. But
I just want to pause this for a second, and I just want to show you the screenshot of Dana Bash and Jake Tapper as Bernie Sanders is wailing on them. Look at them smiling. They know that this question is stupid. They know this is ridiculous. They know they shouldn't be talking about this. They almost looked embarrassed to ask that question and to be there. So who's driving this? If it's not the anchors, then it's probably the producers, the people running the show. Maybe even goes higher than that. Like, why is this a question? And really, let me tell you why. Because CNN is entertainment. It's not news. It's news entertainment. It's meant to entertain you. It's meant to have you keep watching. Watch through the commercials. News used to be a way for actual information to get out there to people, to inform people. Essentially, used to be the newspaper, but on television. But it's not that anymore. Cable news is just pure entertainment. I admit this is an interesting conversation. It's cool to think, oh, who might run in 2020? It's a cool conversation to have. It doesn't belong on a news network. Let's see the rest of Bernie's answer.
You know what? And this is a criticism that I have in the media, and you have heard me both say it. Talk about the issues. Why is it that the United States is the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people? Do you think it is moral that so few have so much and so many have so little?
Exactly. Bernie is right. That's what people are worried about. That's what people should be hearing on television. And that's why a lot of people have stopped watching cable news. And the ones that are and do it regularly are people that are probably addicted to the entertainment of what the news is. And I have to admit, I'm probably in that in some capacity. I watch some cable news. I watched this town hall, but I didn't watch it thinking I was going to learn something. I watched it because I wanted to see what Bernie had to say. I wanted to see what Kasich had to say and how that conversation went on. That's why I watched it. Really stop and analyze why you watch the news. Think about it. Do you watch the news because you actually want to know what's going on? Or do you watch it because it's an impulse? Because it's entertaining? Now, yes, sometimes you do get real news. And Trump and what's happening right now with him is news. But what CNN and a lot of these cable networks tend to do is they focus on one issue and they just drive it and drive it and drive it. And they beat it to death. Like, look at the airplane. I always go back to the CNN airplane. Who was it? What airline was it? Thank God I forgot. But for weeks, CNN was obsessed with where this airplane went. And it wasn't because it was news. It was because people were watching. Because it was entertainment. It was entertaining to people. Mysteries are entertaining. It was like Unsolved Mysteries, but on CNN. That's what that was about. These questions without any answers, like who's running in 2020. Again, another unsolved mystery. Oh, who's it going to be? It makes you think, it starts conversation. That's what it is. It's entertainment. You're not being informed. CNN should be trying to inform people. And sometimes they do. But largely, if they do, it's a byproduct. Information used to be the focus. Giving you information used to be the focus of what CNN was. Or any news network is. But now it's really just a byproduct. The focus now is entertainment, entertaining you. And the byproduct is maybe you might learn something. It really should be the other way around. But let's go on to the next clip.
It is easy to ask whether Kasich is running or Sanders is running. That's easy stuff. It is harder to talk about oligarchy in America.
Just for the record, we're not afraid of hard. We're not afraid of hard. We're not afraid of hard questions and issues, and we are talking about that, and we will continue to talk about that.
This clip is great because they don't. When does CNN talk about oligarchies? They're a part of the oligarchy. Time Warner is a part of the oligarchy. One of the large corporations that owns what's going on, that owns politicians, that owns the country. CNN doesn't talk about big money in politics. When is that ever a focused topic? Does CNN come on breaking news? Guess who's bought off today? When do they ever break down, oh, this politician didn't vote for this bill, and look who's paying them? Cory Booker didn't vote to lower the cost of pharmaceuticals? Who's paying him? Who are his campaign donors? Does CNN ever do that? Does MSNBC ever do that? I don't watch Fox, so does Fox ever do that? You tell me. But that's not a topic. The oligarchy, money in politics, no, that is not what CNN talks about. They focus on entertainment. And it's funny that Dana Bash is giving this defense when she's about to, her next question is even worse than the last one. But before I get on to Dana Bash's next question, I want you to take a look at, focus on Jake Tapper's face when Dana Bash is talking about how they're not afraid of hard questions.
We're not afraid of hard. We're not afraid of hard questions and issues, and we are talking about that, and we will continue to talk about that.
He knows. He knows. He knows she's full of shit. He knows they're full of shit. Jake Tapper, I gotta say, he's getting better. He's slowly becoming one of the better ones. He's aware of this. The problem is he's still stuck in the system. When you're getting paid as much as Jake Tapper's getting paid, it's really hard to break out of the system that you're inside of. It's really hard to break apart from what you're doing because you may not have your job tomorrow. And he's not going to find that sort of paycheck anywhere else but cable news. So I think Jake Tapper is fully aware that Bernie is 100% right, but he's not going to say it. He's not going to acknowledge it on air. That big ass fat check that he gets depends on that entertainment. Now let's get to Dana Bash's. Is it Dana? Dana? I don't know. You know what? Dana Bash. It's Dana Bash. That's what I'm saying. So let's get to her next question. And this one, believe it or not, is way worse than the question about Bernie Sanders running in 2020. Just watch.
But I have to say that you're not going to want to hear this. Maybe both of you won't. Maybe you will. That online, apparently, our viewers are saying that they're loving this. And some people are wondering if maybe there's a joint ticket in your future.
Are you fucking kidding me? This question is terrible on multiple levels. For one, it's again a question about 2020, which we already been through. It's a waste of time to ask that question right now. On another level, it's a stupid fucking question because Bernie Sanders and John Kasich are two very, very different people. They may appear friendly and kind, but you know what? Their policies are very different. Bernie Sanders is a democratic socialist. John Kasich is a Republican. This goes to the heart of what CNN doesn't understand about people. People actually care about policy because policy is what affects their lives. Policy determines whether you make $15 an hour or $6 an hour. Policy determines whether you can afford college or you can't afford college. Policy determines whether you're going to die from not having health insurance or you're covered through health insurance through possibly a single payer system. Policy runs the fucking country. Bernie Sanders and John Kasich are two different people with two very different policy ideas. Why the fuck would they run on the same ticket? This is a news person saying this. How does this news person not point out, you know what? This question is pretty stupid and makes absolutely no sense because you two are very different candidates. And you know what? Maybe I shouldn't ask this question. Maybe just for a second, think about how stupid this question is and the fact that it doesn't relate to real life. Not only would it never happen, it completely ignores the fact that the whole reason for the government to exist is to create policy. But no, they're focused on entertainment. I guess for some people, because this question was sent in, it's a fun idea to think Bernie Sanders and John Kasich on the same ticket. But the only person thinking that is someone that doesn't know anything about why the government exists. It's treating it like a reality show. Like this is all just a game. This is not a game. This is not sports. This is real life. These people, Bernie Sanders, John Kasich, their jobs are to form policy and to help people. Their jobs are to give a shit. It's not to hold hands and be best friends. That's not what this is. This is all just a game. I don't understand how Dana Bash doesn't understand. And look, maybe she fully understands how stupid that question was because you could look at her face and hear what she was saying. You guys may not like this. Yeah, you know why? Because it's a dumb fucking question. So it's possible she's fully aware how stupid that fucking question was, but she still asks it. So maybe the blame goes on her producers. I don't know. Wherever it is, there needs to be some introspection. This is a common theme that needs to happen just in general in Washington. Whether it's cable news or whether it's politicians. There needs to be some introspection on thinking about what is our place in society? What are we doing? What should we be doing? How should we, I don't know, try to enact positive change throughout the country and the world? How could we do that? But that's not the focus. Much like politics, the focus in cable news is money. More specifically for CNN, it's entertainment. Now, watch how Bernie Sanders handles this question.
Maybe there's a joint ticket in your future.
Are you? This is what I was worried about.
I think John is thinking about becoming a democratic socialist.
I don't have any doubt you're not becoming a serial entrepreneurial Republican. But you don't want to know something, and I think Bernie will. I mean, he just pointed it out. Yeah, we have fewer people voting, but more and more young people are deciding that they're not either Republican or Democrat. They're independent. You know why that is? Because the parties are not speaking to them. There's too much politics, not enough exciting issues. I was telling my staff the other day, I go out, I get 300 people. Bernie goes out, he gets 30,000 people. What am I doing wrong? But the fact of the matter is, I think it is possible in the future for a well-funded, articulate, independent to become president of the United States.
I love how John Kasich brings that up. So first of all, Bernie just completely destroys how stupid that question is by saying, yeah, I think Kasich's thinking of becoming a democratic socialist. But then John Kasich goes on and discusses, I think a lot of people are becoming independents. Are they? Yes, they are. Who's an independent on that stage? Because it's not John Kasich, it's Bernie Sanders. In fact, it's almost kind of an odd endorsement of Bernie. Kasich is speaking to a truth. A lot of people are feeling disenfranchised from the Republicans and the Democrats, and they're moving towards becoming an independent because we're all realizing, hey, these two parties are sort of just playing games with each other. Neither of them are really listening to us. Why should I get on board with their policy when their policy is not focused on me? It's focused on their donors. It's focused on corporations, on Wall Street. And that is a large part of the reason why people are becoming independents. Because we recognize that. We recognize the system is broken. We recognize that these politicians are largely bought off. There is a very good chance for an independent to become president. In fact, in some way, you could kind of say it's already happened. A lot of people voted for Donald Trump thinking he was that because he wasn't in politics. So a lot of people thought, hey, Donald Trump isn't part of this broken system. So if I vote for him, regardless of all the wacky shit that he says, as long as he's not one of these bought-off politicians, then maybe he'll represent me. And it turns out, no, he's still bought off. I had a story yesterday about how a chemical company gave him his inauguration fund $1 million, and guess what? They allowed a poisonous pesticide through that just ended up poisoning farm workers. So while people thought that Trump may have been not a typical politician and just a regular guy, turns out no. He's also bought off, he's also corrupt, and he's even worse and dumber than anyone else that's ever been president. But the overall point that Kasich is making is correct. People are becoming less and less interested in the two-party system and opening a way for an independent to win. It almost sounds like John Kasich is thinking about becoming an independent. I'd actually be curious to follow that and see where this goes. Because it's almost like he's feeling out the idea there. Either that or he's fully endorsing Bernie Sanders for a presidential run, which he's not doing. Just be clear, I'm not pulling a Dana Bash here. John Kasich is not endorsing Bernie Sanders. But it is kind of odd that he would just keep discussing the strength of independence. So while the CNN town hall ended on two really dumb questions, at least Bernie Sanders and John Kasich were able to make something out of it and speak to a larger point.